Hey guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and if you saw the title to this video, you know that we're talking about staples today. MedievalGallantmon has just come out. There's a lot of conversation about whether it's just straight up better than Death Xmon, and we have a lot of top-end options now. It's kind of worth talking about what they do well, what some do poorly, and which ones you should be running in your deck. So what we're going to do is go over the three most famous top-end staple cards. We've got Ruin Mode, we've got Death X, and the new MedievalGallantmon. And then we're going to do a thought exercise after we go over them and what they do, talking about what I would be running. So, starting with Shine Greymon Ruin Mode. He is a level 7 Digimon. He goes on purple and yellow. If you don't know what he does, when Digivolving and on deletion until the end of your opponent's turn, all of your opponent's Digimon get minus 5k DP. That is a blanket DP reduction effect, so anything they promote will be hit with that effect until the end of your opponent's next turn. End of attack, you delete this Digimon and one of your opponent's Digimon, and then you recover one. Then if you have a Tamer in play, you will hatch a Digi card to an empty space in your breeding area. Sounds like it does a lot. So what is this card good at? It has the strength of single target removal. That doesn't sound like a big deal, but keep in mind you're paying 5 memory for a Digimon. You want it to be able to remove something on the board and have a strong presence as soon as you put it down. So this card is going to give you single target removal. The blanket DP reduction effect locks out broken boards. What I mean by that is that when you Digivolve, this is not going to hit a level 6 immediately, but it will be applying a DP reduction effect that on smaller boards is going to force the opponent to be locked out. If they don't have anything to promote that's bigger than 5k, they're going to be struggling. The reduction effect also triggers twice, so if you get this and then you swing in the same turn, you can get minus 10k, or you Evo, you do minus 5k, pass the turn, then next turn you swing, it dies, you're minus 5k again, and that can be really debilitating for some decks. This also has recovery and free egg, which means that you're conserving momentum. What I mean by that is you're evoing into this, you're probably passing turn, which means in a sense you are losing something by passing turn to go into this. You can't take other actions by evoing into this, and then you are going to lose your stack because this kills itself at end of attack. You're getting compensated for that with recovery and a free egg. So if your sequence of events happens to be that you promoted the turn that you swing and this dies, you get the free egg, you get a free draw off the rookie, you're recovering one, you're getting resources back for losing your stack. And in that sense, this card is really, really strong. Some weaknesses of this card. It is only playable in purple yellow. Sorry to the other colors. One of the best level 7s in the game is locked purple yellow. Single target deletion is conditional to a successful attack. That might not sound like a big deal to some people, but to me, that is a huge deal. I'm paying 5 memory. For 5 memory, you can do a lot of things. And if I'm playing a card and it doesn't necessarily immediately out the threat on the opponent's board, that's not great. So if the opponent has a level 6 that I can't break with my level 6, I would hope my level 7 gets me out of that situation, and Ruin Mode doesn't necessarily do that for me unless I can successfully resolve an attack, which might require waiting a turn, which might mean that the opponent can out your Ruin Mode. Ruin Mode into pass turn does not truly break a board in the same vein of conversation. Evoing into this does not break a level 6. What this does is it's going to lock out basically level 4 and lower. So if your opponent is already broken, they have a bunch of small bodies on the board, this mops them up. It kind of cinches you the win and locks out the opponent, but it is not going to break a board that is beating you per se. Overall, Ruin Mode functions more effectively to punish a board and lock out the win than it does to help players come back from a losing situation. So next, I want to look at Death Xmon, one of the other classic level 7s. Strengths. Well, actually, let's go over what this card does first. So when you would play this card, you reduce its memory cost by 3 for each Digimon and Tamer your opponent has in play. So this presents the opportunity to play this card for really, really cheap. If your opponent has 3 Tamers and 2 Digimon in play, there's 5 things in play. 5 times 3 is 15. You're plopping this bad boy down for 5, same cost as Ruin Mode. Otherwise, it's 6 to Evo on a purple or black level 6. On play and when Digivolving, you will de-Digivolve 1 on all of your opponent's Digimon, then delete all of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So this has the potential to bring their 6 down to a 5 and mop up all of the small bodies on the board. If they're going wide, this is going to hit them really hard. End of opponent's turn, once per turn, you delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost. So at the end of their turn, they have to put down another body if they don't want to lose their stack. So strengths of this card. It can be played in any deck. Due to the cost reduction on this card, you have the opportunity to play this in any deck. It's not a problem. As long as your opponent's putting lots of things on the board, you will have the opportunity to plop this bad boy down and get some value out of it. The effect triggers on play and when Digivolving, giving you some additional versatility over Ruin Mode. You're not locked into Digivolving into this. You can plop it down. That's what the card does well. The de-Digivolve effect is very strong. That puts things into wipe range. You know, if your opponent has a 6 and maybe some 5s on board or something like that, you're going to get multiple bodies for this body, which is great. Also, blast aces are a thing now. It might be worth plopping this down at a more expensive value to trigger the overflow off of removing a bunch of aces from the board at once. The end of turn deletion effect is also really strong. It'll impact the board for several turns if Death X goes unanswered. If your opponent cannot out the Death X, it's going to sit there and it's going to remove bodies at the end of your opponent's turn each turn, and they're going to have to waste memory dealing with that. So some weaknesses of Death X. The play cost reduction can be floodgated. If your opponent has something that says you can't reduce play cost, Death X is basically a dead card in your hand, especially if you're playing it outside of purple and black. The card does not effectively answer single stack board states. If your opponent's just rocking a level 6 with tons of protection that you can't delete with your level 6, Death X is not probably getting around it. It's going to de-digivolve it to a 5. Their turn, they're either going to evo back into it and plop down a 3, and then you're just going to pop the 3 with the Death X effect, or they're going to go back into a level 6, and because they only care about one stack, it's probably doing something that you don't like anyways. This also, it just kind of needs a wide board to be played. If you're not in the right colors and your opponent is not going wide, this is an extremely difficult card to get on the board. If you're playing like blue or red and your opponent's playing a single stack deck, when are you ever getting this on the board? Even reducing the cost by 9, saying they have 2 tamers and a Digimon in play, this is an 11 cost card. It's not coming down very easily. The deletion effect can also be curbed just by slamming a rookie. So if the opponent's smart, they got rookies in their hand, they're going to set up their play so that they're making progress while also just plopping down a level 3 on the board. You're going to get their level 3, and they're going to keep their stack, causing you problems. So the last staple, the newest one that we got to pay attention to here, Medieval Gallantmon from EX8. When this card would be played by suspending 2 Digimon, reduce the play cost by 4. Importantly, that does not say 2 of your Digimon. It can be 2 of your opponent's Digimon, which is incredibly powerful. It has Alliance and Vortex, which is kind of why suspending your opponent's Digimon matters. You can suspend their Digimon, plop this down, you get the Vortex trigger. When Digivolving, you may suspend a Digimon, then you may delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8k or less DP. For each other suspended Digimon, you add 3k to this deletion's maximum effect value. And then all turns when Digimon are played, you activate one of this Digimon's when Digivolving effect. So you suspend 2 of your opponent's Digimon, plop this down. He does see himself get played, so you get to trigger the when Digivolving, suspend something else down. Now there's 3 suspended bodies. You're going to pop a 17k body, and then you get to swing into an opponent's suspended body. So you're probably popping the biggest thing on their board, and then swinging over something or alliancing to get over another big body. So what are the strengths of this deck, or this card? It is playable in every deck. You don't have to evo into this. You can hard play it for 7. If you have a memory setter, you're really passing at 4. And if you swing over like any level 6 ace, you're really passing your opponent at 1. It is not bad. Effect triggers on play and when Digivolving. That's also just versatility included in this card. If you have a level 5 with red in it, you can evo into this for a really effective play, or you can be hard slamming it if you need to. It answers most protection effects by swinging over the enemy Digimon. A lot of protection effects have protection from effects that would delete them, effects that would bounce them, but don't actually have battle protection. So Medieval Gallantmon gets around a lot of common effects because it's killing them by battle. It has a repeatable deletion effect that locks out wide board strats. If your opponent plays a Digimon while this is on board, you just get to trigger the one Digivolving. You're going to get to suspend something and then delete something, and it doesn't even have to be what they played. If they already have a level 6 on board, they play something else, you can pop the level 6 instead of popping whatever they play. Alliance and Vortex keyword combo means you're probably swinging over any threat. It's a really powerful keyword combo. You're just going to be able to alliance and swing over basically any body in the game as long as you have a level 4 or level 5 on the board, which is not hard. Some weaknesses of this card: the play cost reduction can be floodgated. So this has the same issue as Death X, where if they have a floodgate on the board, you are either hard playing this for 11 or evoing into it. If you're playing it in a deck that is not red, playing it for 11 is probably not happening. You could do it, but it's probably not happening. At the very best, this is a 7 memory play. Why is that a con, you might ask? But 7 memory is a lot to play for something that does what this does in a bad situation. So if the opponent has protection effects, you might wind up just paying 7 to swing over an enemy Digimon, which can be a good rate, but it might also not be. Depends on what you think about that. Like, you could pay 8 for a Gaia Force. That's kind of a terrible rate, but we're only 1 memory cheaper than that, depending on how the opponent's set up, right? So under certain conditions, this can just be kind of a really mediocre card, and it does require setup to be played. So if you don't have extra bodies to play to suspend down for the alliance checks, this kind of doesn't do a whole lot. If the opponent's not going wide and you don't have ways to play bodies, well, suspending 2 Digimon to play this card out might be a little bit tricky. So there are some circumstances around this card that mean that there's a little bit of setup required for it. Kind of same thing as Death X, though. Death X needs circumstances to be potent. This also has circumstances to be potent. It's just a different set of circumstances for each card. So we're going to do a thought exercise now. I love challenging you guys to think. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to think about my Chaos Gallantmon deck. If you haven't seen Chaos Gallantmon, costs 40 Evo on a level 5. When Digivolving, you pop one of your other Digimon to delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. On your turn, when one of your other Digimon is deleted, you play a level 3 from trash without paying the cost. No on-plays activate. So we're going to think about my Chaos Gallantmon deck, and then I'm going to challenge you guys to tell me which level 7 staple or top end staple you think is going to be the appropriate choice for this deck. So thinking about the strengths of this deck threatens 4 checks as soon as turn 2 to 3. So it's really aggressive. It wants to get in there and just break down your security really quickly. It threatens wide board with recursion effects in the Dark Animal package. Serbi X gets me an extra body. War Growlmon from EX3 gets me an extra body. Chaos Gallantmon is playing me an extra body. I just have ways to put rookies on the board, and that's beneficial for my offensive pressure and my ability to close out the game after I swing 4 checks. I also have a wide range of deletion effect thresholds. I have level 5 deletion coverage with Chaos Gallantmon. I've got 11k DP threshold on MedievalGallantmon Ace. The Chaos Gallantmon from EX4 has a base 7k deletion threshold that goes up the more cards are in trash. And then I have a 15k DP total that I can hit with Crimson Mode Ace. So Crimson Mode Ace is my big deletion card that hits a lot of targets at once. Some weaknesses of the deck. It struggles to remove bodies once a stack is built. The main removal comes when digivolving on a 6. So once I have a stack, my removal comes from getting into that stack. So once I hit level 6, I have used my removal, and I am probably not removing anything until I hit another level 6. I am weak to removal on Digivolve because my removal comes from me Digivolving and from an opponent's on attack trigger. What I mean by that is I have aces. If the opponent attacks, I have the opportunity to ace and use removal effects. But if the opponent has removal effects that trigger on Digivolve, I am extremely susceptible to that. I mean, they can just Digivolve, pop my stack, and then I'm out of luck. The deck can be passive if deletion triggers aren't set up. If I don't have a way to pop a body to get security +1 on the Black Growlmon, well then I'm not swinging 4 checks in one turn. I'm swinging 2, which is significantly worse. So, based on that information, based on what you now know about my Chaos Gallantmon deck, what staples should I run in this deck? I want you to comment down below and tell me what staples go in this deck. What do you think is the best choice, and tell me why. I'll wait a couple seconds because I want you to participate. That's fun. That's part of the fun. All right. The winner. This is what I chose as my staple of choice. MedievalGallantmon. Let's talk about why. This bridges very well with EX3 War Growlmon, which I am running in the deck now, because this card is bonkers. If I don't hit the Cerberus, I can go to War Growlmon X, and then I have the option to Digivolve into this or go into Chaos Gallantmon or my MedievalGallantmon Aces. It pairs really well with the wide board strategy. I have the ability to plot bodies on the board, as we talked about earlier, which just benefits this card. The recursion effects will also trigger my all turns effect to suspend something and then delete a body. So if this ever sticks and I get a Chaos Gallantmon on the board, or I make it to Serbi X or War Growlmon, which the deck does incredibly fast, I'm going to get to pop something off of it. So it gives me removal as I climb, which is really important because it covers a weakness of the deck. As I have on the board here, ultimately it plugs a hole in my deck most effectively. It offers a way to immediately remove high-level Digimon that my deck can struggle to answer. And then the kind of cherry on top is that I can ace into this with Crimson Mode on top. But I don't just run one top-end card. You know me, I love my top-end cards. I love flexibility and kind of tech cards. So what is my second choice? That's Bolt of Outmon. I know, I tricked you. I didn't give it to you as an option. What this card is, when Digivolving, de-Digivolve 3 on one of your opponent's Digimon, and for the turn, all of their Digimon get minus 6k. We won't get the DNA effect, but when other Digimon are deleted, you trash your opponent's top security. Why did I pick Bolt of Outmon? Well, the first reason is because de-Digivolve will always answer the level 6 and 7s that my deck struggles to answer. I cannot hit big bodies very well unless the opponent swings into me and I get to Crimson Mode Ace, but this answers that incredibly effectively, and then the minus 6k effect will finish off any big threat and then mop up smaller bodies. So I'm going to get to de-Digivolve their biggest stack and then potentially wipe their board with minus 6k. Really strong. The more immediate Digivolving effect makes it a faster solution than Ruin Mode. We talked about how Ruin Mode deletes a body, but only when attacking resolves successfully. This is going to remove that threat ASAP. It's going to be gone as soon as you Digivolve into this. You hit this card, you get your value. And then lastly, my deck is for fun. Most people don't enjoy being locked out for 2 turns in a for fun game. That is just kind of the nature of the deck. It is made to be lower power level to play with my family. And quite frankly, they don't want to sit behind a Ruin Mode lock for 2 turns. So this is kind of a happy medium at board wipes when I need it. And it's not locking anyone out from having fun. And I kind of did intentionally pick a card that I didn't bring up as one of my top stables because it's a card that's outside the box. It is a card that fits my needs that isn't perhaps a staple or something that is one of the most talked about cards. So it doesn't hurt to think outside the box. We have other top-end options. You know, we have things like Quartzmon. We have archetype-specific level 7 aces like Paladin Mode. We have the Gabumon, Agumon, all these different options that you can think about too. It might not be one of these staples as the most appropriate choice to slot in for the needs of your deck. So, in conclusion, there are reasons to run every staple. Different staples might shine more in different metas. Staples can help plug holes in your deck or accentuate their strengths, and it might be worth looking at less obvious cards to help solve issues your deck is facing. So I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you enjoyed the yap session, a little bit of game theory, perhaps you could call it that. Just a conversation about the staple cards in the meta right now and what I think about them. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Consider becoming a channel member today if you are not. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great day.
Thank you to our YouTube members for supporting this channel. It's people like Langlong, Big Z11, and Coffee Deus who make videos like this possible.